The New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Foundation promotes, preserves, and perpetuates music, culture, and heritage through programs, cultural, educational, and economic activities year-round. Learn more at jazzandheritage.org. This program is brought to you in part by the Eugenie and Joseph Jones Family Foundation, a local foundation proud to support education, the arts, and culture in the greater New Orleans area.
I'm Peggy Scott Laborde, and welcome to Steppin Out with updates from the local restaurant, arts, and entertainment scenes. Joining me, Ron Bechet, artist and longtime member of the Xavier Art Department. It's great to see you. And I'm so excited because he has a brand new solo show, one-man show at the Contemporary Arts Center. Welcome, welcome. Hello. Poppy Tooker, host of Louisiana Eats on WWNO Radio. Hey, Miss Poppy.
Hello, Peg.
Hi there. And Sandra Herman. Oh my goodness, the list is long. Former state government executive, also a philanthropist and longtime community activist. Sandra is currently the founder and the CEO of Celebrating Canal, with the Windows on Canal campaign kicking off this week. We're thrilled. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
And remember Alan Mason?
I do.
He does return next week. Poppy, restaurant news. I'm heading uptown first.
Lots of new restaurants. Imagine that. And one that's very delicious, new on Oak Street, right next door to the Maple Leaf, is Acqua Sante, which is new from Luis Nava, the chef from Metairies La Tia Taqueria on West Esplanade. He has taken a tremendous interest in this new property. Even the walls are his artwork. Mm-hmm. So it's beautiful, there's a lot to see. And what he's doing with his deep Mexican roots, he hails originally from Mexico's Pacific coast, but he's riffing on all sorts of international flavors like French, Spanish, Japanese, and Chinese. He begins with a really innovative cocktail program. There's a drink called a Red Agatha that's very delicious with vodka, wild berry pulp, acacia liquor, fresh lemon, and lavender bitters. And of course, there's a fabulous margarita, just like you would expect, but the dishes, one is more delicious than the next. There's a salmon tartare that has a hazelnut jalapeno coulis. That's a little mix-up for you. Then something that he's brought from La Tia Taqueria are the dumplings, which are crispy fried wontons with confit pork, and they're sitting on Luis's magical mole. More about that mole sauce in a minute, but they have brisket bao, which is very an Asian dish. Then there's Bira-style lamb, which if you're a lamb lover, it's just delicious all by itself. From the start of the menu, where there's an octopus carpaccio, to the charred octopus, one dish is more delicious than the next. But Luis's secret weapon is that magical mole. When you make the reservation, you can request off-menu items. So chicken mole, lamb mole, I'm in. And they're serving dinner there on Oak Street every night except for Sunday night. Now, also brand new, but down in the French Quarter, is a new restaurant with a salacious name. And the name of the restaurant is I Love Nudes, but that's Noods, meaning noodles. So, of course, they're serving ramen, dim sum, and wonderful cocktails, all in the 500 block of Decatur Street. It is super bargain dim sum. The pork barbecue bao, for instance, is just $5.49. The soup dumplings, the shumai, 4 pieces for $7.49. That's a bargain. Serving 11 a.m. until 9 p.m. Sunday through Thursday, and then people are always asking where to go eat late night. They serve Friday and Saturday night until 10:30. Good to know. 500 block of Decatur. And then it's time for another paella night at Tableau. And of course, Tableau does this in honor of Don Manuel Gayosa de Limas, the last Spanish governor of Louisiana, whose residence that was once upon a time. So Thursday, May the 29th at 6 o'clock, 2 courses for $50. You have paella and the Basque cheesecake, and you can't miss the theatrical spectacle. You'd think you're at Le Petit when they bring in the gigantic paella pan that arrives in the dining room. So it's lots of delicious fun, cash bar, great Spanish wines available. Sign up for paella night at Tableau.
Sounds great, of course. Thank you. And moving on to Sandra. And Sandra, so much excitement, especially this weekend. Give us, I guess, the overview of the Windows on Canal, and of course, Celebrate Canal is the overall campaign trying to revitalize our favorite Main Street. Huh?
Yes, absolutely. I am thrilled to be a part of this, and the idea came last year when I was attending a meeting, and Michael Hecht said, told a lady who said, what are we going to do about Canal Street? And he said, it's going to take a citizen-led initiative to get something done on Canal Street. And with my 20 years in state government, putting projects together, I said, I think I can do this. And we actually started, and we kicked it off in August. And we have 2 aspects. We are going to try to bring families back to Canal Street. And so the first of these was doing an art display, because it came to me that when you go to New York City at Christmas and they decorate the windows, we thought, well, let's do that here. And talked to the store owners and managers, and they said, you know, we prefer you didn't do the windows, but up above, you know, in the facade.
And we're going to show some of them by local artists.
Yes.
Up and down Canal. Look at that, starting at Canal Place.
Isn't that wonderful? And this character, they're all critter characters. Yes. And as you know, Canal Place was built as a result of the World's Fair in 1984. The motto was Seymour de Fair.
And look at Seymour.
No, this is the granddaughter of Seymour.
I see.
She's Samora de Canal. That's who she is. And of course, what we're doing is putting Scrim in each one of these.
Scrim, the beloved little dog.
And if you see, Scrim is in her purse. So
we'll show you more of Scrim too. And D.H. Holmes.
Yes.
Now the Hyatt Centric
yes,
here.
They wanted to get involved, and so we said, you know, let's dress up. It's just been closed off. Yeah. And so they allowed us to do a big mural there of Lucky Dog.
And Ignatius Riley, of course, Confederacy of Dunces, who sold the Paradise Dogs, or he's Lucky Dog, as in Scrim, isn't he?
Exactly, but it can be, you know, it can be several things.
Sure.
So, yeah, and Palace Cafe is where Werlein's was. And so we have the piano, and Mr. Werlein was known to have the mustache with the curve. And so the piano curves around like that. And so each one of these is we gave you the detail behind each one of these. So when people, and there's a QR code.
Oh, in each window, or
right, at the door, in their window, and that will take you to an explanation. And moderating the story of Scrim is not Aaron Neville, but Ivan Neville.
Look at this. This is on the Sheraton.
Yes.
And look at Scrim popping up there. Huh?
Yes.
Darling, very darling. So you go down Canal Street.
Yes.
You learn about different stories of the artist. You hear about the artist, and here's Scrim himself.
Yes.
Going down.
Michelle brought him down to look at himself, and she got the photo of him
that is
looking up at himself.
I love that. And
yes.
you're going to have a scavenger hunt on
Yes,
Saturday.
yes.
Families.
We're inviting kids. In fact, we did a little trial run last Saturday. We had 27 6-year-olds there for a birthday party. And they signed in at Canal Place, got their goodie bags. Of course, we had parents, you know, as many parents as kids. And they learned about, you know, Scrim and the story of the history. And then they went down the street, and they couldn't wait to hear about what Scrim was doing at that one. And then, you know, trying to contain them from running to the next one. But it all was fabulous.
So it's Saturday at 11
Yes.
o'clock for anybody, but you've got to sign up.
You
Okay,
need to.
go to the website, okay,
Right.
and celebratecanal.com/events. And so, but it does start out, as you said, at Canal Place.
Yes.
And the children would get the goodie bags, you know, accompanied by their families, their adults,
Right.
and go to each of the windows and,
Right.
and along the way.
And
It sounds like
when
so
they
much fun.
find Scrim, they,
Oh yes, yes. Let me. We're going to point out this too. This is so great because they'll get one of these coloring books, and they'll be able to mark each time they go to the different windows
and
in the
find
stores.
Scrim, yes.
That is just great. I know you have a lot of other activities coming up, and of course, celebratecanal.com is where you should go for more information.
Yes.
But you've got what? A food tasting, an
architecture tour
in the coming months.
Right, and a style show where we're
style show.
featuring men only because there's so many women's style shows. So we thought we would get some of the men of Canal Street, the owners and managers, and put it on at the Westin, and you know, have people come in and enjoy that. So we're trying to get every age group. You know, so we have the kids, we have the foodies, we have the history buffs, and then we'll have the fashionistas.
Well, I know you have a wonderful staff and committee, but if somebody wants to help, they can just go to the website too.
Yes,
You can
and
find
sign
out how to
up.
do that.
Yes,
Yeah.
and we need volunteers. We're trying to build such a momentum for bringing Canal Street back that when we go in to do something big, that support will be there.
That's wonderful. Well,
Right.
thank you for sharing that with us.
Thank you
Very
for having
exciting.
me.
Of course, I worked at D.H. Holmes's, and my mom did too, and so many of us have those Canal Street
And your
ties.
book
Thank
is
you.
an inspiration
Oh, well,
to
thank
all
you.
of us.
There's also a book with
Fabulous.
John McGill, if you want to know about the history of Canal Street.
Yes.
But many thanks. Thanks for sharing.
Thank you.
And I'm so excited about Ron walking a few blocks down to the Warehouse District at the Contemporary Arts Center. And Ron, my goodness, we're going to show this an enormous exhibit, and it's 60, I understand,
50 pieces.
50, but 15 more recent, but kind of a body of work.
Right.
Because you've been at it for a little while, right?
A little bit, yeah.
Tell us
yeah.
about that.
Well, I've been, I'm also a professor at Xavier University, and I've been teaching there for 25 years. Wow. And before then at SUNO for 8. And CAC has been a big part of my life growing up. I went to the University of New Orleans after a little stint at Mississippi State and
Yale?
And Yale, yeah. I did
By the way.
yeah, I did my graduate work at Yale University.
And UNO,
Yeah.
yes, I love that.
So I guess CAC for me, this sort of having this big show at the CAC means a lot to me because when I was the formative years of the CAC were when I was an undergraduate. And
We're going to show some of your work at
Oh, sure.
the exhibit too while we talk.
yeah, and so this is sort of an exciting time for me to actually be able to contribute now to the CAC in these later years of mine.
Well, tell us about your style, and it looks like it's very much connected to nature, isn't it?
Yes, yes. I guess you could say I use nature as a way to think through some of the difficult things that go on in one's life. And so it's not necessarily about the actual thing, because these things actually never existed. They're all come out of my head.
Charcoal and charcoal.
This is charcoal.
Which is amazing that
However,
you can do that.
Yeah. However, this piece is on black paper with white chalk. The other ones are done in charcoal on white paper. And so that was actually the last piece I made for this show, the audacity of knowing oneself. And so these are all fairly recent. The The newest piece actually is this year. The Audacity of Hope was 2025, just before the show actually. And so there are about 20 pieces that are made between last year and this year. And I do other things other than just charcoal drawings. I also make paintings and other three-dimensional objects. But this show, Shana Griffin, who is the curator of this show,
Large they are.
she actually thought it would be a great idea, and so did I, to actually do the whole show in black and white.
Wow.
So I'm very happy she did. And with the assistance of the Quan Porcel, who is one of my students actually, who is now the assistant curator at the CAC, they also did this show. I could not have done it without them, obviously. And so I'm really happy about the show being at the CAC, first of all, and being able to draw on the walls in one of the cases.
Wonderful. And we should point out this is up through October the 4th. Yes. And a few family tidbits here. You are the great-nephew of the amazing Sidney Bechet,
That's right.
jazz pioneer.
Yes.
And also, if the name Bechet sounds familiar in the local theater and music community, that may have a little something to do with your beautiful wife, Troy.
Absolutely, absolutely.
What a voice.
What a voice and what a performer. She's a great actor as well.
She is.
Yeah.
She really is. But you've got to be so excited. We're excited. And of course, your longtime used to share a studio with the late, great John Scott.
That's right. Yeah, for about 12 years before Katrina.
Wow.
We shared a space in New Orleans East. And I was just so happy to be there with him. And he allowed me to come in and work with my stuff. And we became very close friends, not only colleagues in the studio, but also colleagues at Xavier.
Right. Well, we should point out, though, that it is open every day, the CAC, except on Tuesdays, and on Sundays it's free. So that's a really great deal. But go to the website for more information, cacno.org. But welcome. I'm so glad you could be with us.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Good, of course. And on to back to food, actually. St. John Restaurant on St. Charles Avenue is hosting a season of Good Taste Dinner on June the 5th, benefiting WYES. Here is Dana Hansel and the chef to tell us all about it.
Hi, I'm Dana Hansel with WYES, and I'm here with the Season of Good Taste Dinner Series. We're so excited to be here today at St. John, a restaurant that just opened September 2024. And I think most of us in New Orleans are familiar with Chef Eric Cook of Grigri. Well, now we have a new addition, which is Chef Darren Jobert, and he is the chef here that is growing new things and exciting things.
Absolutely.
And I have to tell you some exciting parts. So he grew up in New Orleans, and he had a grandmother and great-grandmother. So he had Parisian food, Italian food, Cajun foods. But what was so interesting is he joined the military. Thank you for your service, by the way. And he was the chef at the Palace Restaurant in the Joint Visitors Bureau in Baghdad. And so when he got low on ingredients, he would call his friends in Louisiana and say, I need some ingredients to make muffulettas and poor boys in Baghdad. So I just thought that was so fun. So then he comes back to New Orleans, as we all do, and here he is to talk to us about St. John and let us know about this fabulous menu that you have prepared for us.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, so we, as a New Orleans Creole restaurant, there's so many different backgrounds that you can go into. You can do the French, you can do there's German influence, there's the Spanish, and of course, Italian. And we decided to focus in and make our entire menu Italian themed.
Yeah.
So there's certain items on here that, like, we do an antipasti with several items, and one of them is kind of like a caprese, but it's a spin on it. And of course, we do fried green tomatoes very much in the South. So we're doing a fried green tomato kind of caprese. So it has your burrata on there, torn basil, and it's all sitting on top of fried green tomato.
Yum.
Yeah, so I mean, it's representing New Orleans, but also an homage of the true Italian cuisine that has influenced us.
Oh my goodness. Well, how do you get to this dinner? You go to wyes.org/events, buy your tickets quickly because these tickets sell out fast. So please go to wyes.org, and thank you so much.
Once again, go to WYES.org. What a menu. We have some other dinners coming up in the coming months too. But check out St. John. Very excited about that. We appreciate Eric Cook at St. John for his generosity. So now we have our picks, and I'm going to actually kick off my picks. Let's do that, okay, because we've got music, food, and art comprising the Bayou Boogaloo, May 16th through 18th. That's Moss Street. And of course, Toulouse to Orleans, BayouBoogaloo.com. WYES will be hosting a free screening of the PBS independent Lens documentary, We Want the Funk, on Saturday at the Andre Caillou Center for Performing Arts and Cultural Justice, and that is in the former St. Rose de Lima Church on Bayou Road. The film by Stanley Nelson documents the history and evolution of funk music, from James Brown to George Clinton and more. Here is a preview.
2, 3, and 1.
James Brown, George Clinton,
Sly and the Family Stone.
Funk is something that takes you over.
A history that goes back to the spiritual.
Funk got the whole world dancing. You certainly couldn't contain it culturally, and you couldn't contain it geographically either.
Funk is the DNA for hip-hop. Da-da-da, just lose yourself in it, and that was the thing.
The screening will be followed by a Q&A on some of our city's connections to funk, conducted by Melissa Weber, and she, of course, is the curator of Tulane's Hogan Archive of New Orleans Music and New Orleans Jazz, also known as DJ Soul Sister. Again, this free event at the Caillou Center is Saturday at 4 o'clock. Real exciting. Poppy, your pick.
Sunday, my dear friend Sarah Lohman is coming with her book, Endangered Eating. We're going to be in conversation together at Octavia Books from 3 until 4:30 p.m. So any of those slow food lovers out there, this is all about Arc of Taste Deliciousness that Sarah's been researching.
All right, and I have plenty more picks. First of all, I'm portraying Alan Mason in the following comments here, okay? But The Wiz, oh my goodness, it continues at the Sanger through Sunday. Check out The Wiz, Sanger Nola, mygoodness.com. And we've got The Company, a St. Bernard community theater. They are actually doing Ragtime, the musical, now through Sunday. New location at 800 West Judge Perez Drive, CUR8.com for tickets. Click on organizations and type in The Company. And by the way, that's a great little group. I saw the Stephen Sondheim musical Assassins there. Very, very creative. Appreciate all of their efforts. By the way, go to theatercriticism.com to see Alan Mason's favorable reviews, hint, hint, of Doubt and Something Rotten, now playing locally. And the Christwood Atrium Gallery will open this Saturday with a reception at 4:30, celebrating the new exhibit, I love this, Because Way. It's a collaborative show between Christwood and the Ferrara Showman Gallery. The exhibit will feature artists from both the North Shore and the South Shore. Isn't that such a clever idea? And we just showed you, Girl, You Could Have Left That Clarinet at Home by Brandon Lewis, and Mississippi River, by He's So Missed, Roland Golden. The exhibit will be up through June 27th and, of course, open to the public. Wow, that's very ambitious. Really appreciate Ann Loomis's effort, too, and her wonderful committee. And moving on, the Symphony Chorus of New Orleans presents a composition by Dan Forrest called Creation this Sunday at 3 p.m. at St. George's Episcopal Church, 4600 St. Charles Avenue. Tickets at the door or at symphonychorus.org. Warren Bell will be narrating. The Fallbrook Marigny Improvement Association will have showcasing 9 homes during their annual Home and Garden Tour, and that's in the Marigny Triangle. This Sunday from noon to 4, we've got a few examples of some beautiful homes that will be on view. Get your tickets online at fallbrookmarigny.org or at the Starting Point Door Furniture, 914 Elysian Fields. And the New Orleans, moving on then to the New Orleans Museum of Art, featuring 2 special series coming up. Starting this Wednesday, it's movie time at 6 p.m. This is exciting. There will be a screening of The Talented Mr. Ripley, followed by an interview with actor Jude Law. Yes, Jude Law, conducted by Meryl Poster, and she is a very renowned producer who is hosting and curating the series, but he'll be at NOMA. And then in the coming weeks, Cinema Paradiso, The Wings of the Dove, and Chocolat. I love saying that, Chocolat. Also starting next week on Thursday, NOMA's Salon Supper Club. E.J. Lagasse will be heading up the first of 3 fundraising dinners in the coming months. Go to noma.org/salon supper club and noma.org/producer's choice for more information about that. And before we leave, just 2 quick questions to our guests here too. But Sandra, when you were little, did you shop on Canal Street? You've got some memories of that?
Actually, I'm from Northeast Louisiana.
But did you ever come down to New Orleans?
I spent 39 years in Baton Rouge, and I was so busy with the state government. But I do remember when I first got married, very young, my husband and I decided, he was from Northeast Louisiana too, farm country, and decided to go to New Orleans. And I remember we came up Carondelet, and when we turned on Canal Street, now I'm talking about 65, it was like New York City to us. The cars, the people walking, and he was driving like a, I think there are fewer people in New Orleans now. It was really a bustling city, and of course being a country girl. But no, we didn't spend a lot of time down here, but I'm making up for it. Moved here 17 years ago, and I love it. I would never go back to Baton Rouge or to North Louisiana.
Did your mama shop at Krause?
Oh, yes. Krause was a big place for us. I loved it, and my mom was also loved to sew. And so one of the things that she did was she would tell us that when she had a date, when she was a teenager, she would go and get a pattern and the fabric for the date that night and make a dress.
Oh my goodness.
So and Krause is where she went.
Wow, that's talent.
Yeah, very talented woman.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you all for sharing those. Poppy, thank you as always for being here.
Peg.
Appreciate you watching. Bye-bye.
The New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Foundation promotes, preserves, and perpetuates music, culture, and heritage through programs, cultural, educational, and economic activities year-round. Learn more at jazzandheritage.org. This program is brought to you in part by the Eugenie and Joseph Jones Family Foundation, a local foundation proud to support education, the arts, and culture in the greater New Orleans area.